Many of the reports contain a very strong focus on the legislative or official structures and outline the concepts of how these situations work within the country. And any jurisdiction that is trying to find a way to improve the operation of their geographical names processes could perhaps find some very fine models to look at across the world and adapt to their particular situation. So please bear that in mind as you are looking for assistance in this area. There was many papers that referenced detailed reports to be presented under other agenda items, which I think is a very sound practice as well. So they produced in their report a summary of an action and then indicated that a report will be considered under agenda item whatever. And that gives you something to look forward to in relation to the greater detail on a particular subject. I was pleased to see that there is an increase in the number of reports that actually referred to the previous United Nations Conference on the Standardization of Geographical Names resolutions, because that also ties back to the work that has been done in the past and to the resolutions that were deemed to be important. I was also pleased to see a number of reports that referred to training courses, and including internal training courses within countries. Many reports also mentioned the existence and development and improvement of your toponymic databases. And as a newer type of a concept, there was quite a few reports that referred to the relationship between geographical names and addressing. Now, addressing is something that is becoming a major issue across the world as we go into an internet commerce type situation, and addresses are often the key by which you verify that you are who you are and you live where you live to get things delivered. So it was good to see that correlation established quite well in some of the reports that we have. Many of the reports also mention publications that countries and working groups and divisions have put together that is of very good interest to us all for research and investigation purposes and for the development of our own processes. And again, increasingly, there is mention of the requirements of minority and indigenous language groups within the reports that have been outlined as to how countries are catering or trying to cater for the needs of those communities. And also it mentioned the involvement in international events, and that is good. But now I would like to move on to the more specific questions that I found as I read through these reports. And much to our Secretariat's concern, I decided that I probably wouldn't warn everybody that I was going to ask them to explain something further on their reports. So I hope you've all memorized your country reports and understand them fully so that I can ask questions without notice and don't cause you problems or concerns. And the first country report that I have a question of is in relation to Cyprus. So if I could ask you two questions. You mentioned in your report that your gazetteer has a mention of variant forms of a particular name. Does this include all the variant forms, and does it mention any source or supporting documentation for the names that you're dealing with? And the second question, you mentioned that you had a new internet services platform, and I would like you to take a short moment, if you could, just to advise us as to how that works and what the uptake of that is. I pass the floor to the delegate from Cyprus.
Understand exactly your first question, but yes, we do have online a gazetteer which shows about 75,000 geographical names for the whole island of Cyprus. These names have as a source the cadastral registers and the cadastral plans of the whole country, which are on large scale. So these geographical names, they were standardized based on the Greek language first, and then they were transliterated into Roman characters. And these are shown in a gazetteer that was submitted back in the 80s to the United Nations conference. As regards the second part of your question, your second question, it has to do with the internet services. We do maintain in Cyprus a special data infrastructure, and this is associated directly to the implementation of Inspire Directive as well. So we do have our national special data infrastructure, and of course geographical names play a very important role in this infrastructure. And geographical names are directly accessible through a GIS system. So they are available by search through the metadata. They are available for viewing, for printing, and for downloading for free. Thank you.
Just to clarify a second part of the question, what has been the uptake of that information? How, do you have any statistics as to how it's used? Thank you. I recognize Cyprus.
Yes, thank you. We do have some statistics. I don't have them in front of me right now, but the number of users increased day by day. We did some tests on our website, some penetration tests, some performance tests. It seems that the platform is doing very well. Unfortunately, I don't have the exact numbers to present them right now. Thank you.
Thank you, but you said what I was hoping when you said that it's improving or increasing every day, and that's what we would like to see. Thank you very much for that. The second report that I had in mind was Poland, if I could find our Polish delegate. You mentioned that multilingual names were being assigned to localities. I just wanted to get a further explanation on what localities meant. Are they just cultural features such as towns and villages and buildings, or does this extend to natural features as well? That's question number one. And question number two was, you mentioned that additional names are now shown in the gazetteers and maps. I'd like to get a bit of information on how these are shown on maps and gazetteers, the additional names. Thank you. I pass the floor to Poland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for these both questions. Both are regard to minority names in Poland. And according to the first question, yes, the natural feature could be named in minority languages, but there is no case to date. So because according to the law on national minority, the local authority of our lowest administrative unit, we call the gminas, it's in English commune or municipalities. So communes in which national minority, which are listed in our Act of National Minority, there are some national minority, there are some ethnic minorities in Poland, but if such minority lives in commune, the commune authorities could establish minority names for localities, for example, villages, part of villages, for physiographical objects like river, ponds, lake, and so on. And commune councils sent this proposal to the Commission on Names of Localities and Physiographical Objects, which is under Minister of the Interior and Administration, and after obtained the opinion of this commission, the minister